There is a huge build-up on all 9 new coins. IBIT and Fidelity FBTC are making an average of $200 million to $175 million every trading day. In Bitcoin terms, that's almost 9,000 coins, and we're making 900 of them every day. For this reason, you can see that it's not sustainable, and there will be because there is so much demand. We've seen 20x in 9 months before. Plus, I think this new source of demand will help you 20x in just a few weeks. 20 times from, we're almost at 50,000, 20 times 50,000 is 1 million. It will only take 10 times as long to reach 1 million if we reach $100,000, which I think is very likely. There is no doubt that Samson Mow is the CEO of January 3rd, a business that focuses on Bitcoin. He is known for pushing for people to use Bitcoin and has worked with countries like El Salvador to make it easier for people to do so. His work on El Salvador's Bitcoin bonds and with President Nayib Bukele to push the country's adoption of a Bitcoin standard was cited as an important accomplishment. Mow is also said to have worked to get governments in places like Indonesia and Madeira to adopt policies that are friendly to Bitcoin. When it comes to Bitcoin's future, Mow is said to be very optimistic, especially about 2024, because he sees a supply-demand imbalance coming up. The recent approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs by the US Securities and Exchange Commission say, in his opinion, will greatly increase demand for Bitcoin, which could cause prices to reach new all-time highs. Mow sees a 2x Bitcoin Omega candle, which means that the price of Bitcoin will likely go up quickly and significantly, possibly reaching $1 million per coin. He says that Bitcoin's limited supply of 21 million coins and its unlimited demand, along with the upcoming halving event in 2024, are both signs that the price of the cryptocurrency will go up. In a recent interview with Bitcoin, Mow talked about his positive outlook for Bitcoin's price and gave more details on a number of the reasons he thinks it will go up in value. Overall, Samson Mow's work as CEO of January 3rd, his support for Bitcoin adoption, and his positive outlook on Bitcoin's price show that he is involved in the cryptocurrency space and thinks it has a lot of room to grow. Yes, what kind of sign? For him, I just broke it down and wrote down all those different things, but this is what I really look at to judge where Bitcoin is going. All of those things are getting better. The rate of hashing is through the roof. I also think that some of that is caused by you guys, right? Along with you. Yeah, mine's for swans, right? That means you're also to blame. But people forget about the 200-week moving average. But breaking the 200-week moving average is pretty big, right? That's not often that we fall below that. Furthermore, that is steadily going up. I believe it is now 30-something. Some crypto analysts, on the other hand, say that prices will rise to $20,000, which is well below the 200-week moving average. It would take a scandal 3 times as big as FTX to bring us down to that level. At this point, I don't think it's possible. It seems like every sign points to the fact that people should switch from fiat to Bitcoin, right? In the same way that debt to GDP ratios are going up, so is the amount of money in circulation. All of these things are getting better at the same time that Bitcoin is getting stronger. And the cutting in half will happen in less than 3 months. So Bitcoin is about to take off in a very bullish way. I also believe this is what will set off the Omega candle I've been talking about, but ETFs are aimed at a different group of people. Some Bitcoin users with a lot of money may be selling their coins so they can use the TradFi system to their advantage, since it's now easy to borrow against Bitcoin, right? In the event that it's an ETF, I think it's also for estate planning, since if it's in an ETF, it's easier to get rid of if something goes wrong, like a bust. It's possible that Bitcoiners are diversifying, but most of the time ETFs are sold to boomers, pension funds, institutions, even other businesses. I don't think that has really hit the market yet. As we watch the pension fund money slowly flow into the ETFs, they have time to make up their minds, right? But the fact that pension funds are buying Bitcoin is all that is needed to cause this huge supply shock and demand surge. It will happen very quickly because of this strange thing. A lot of people want something more when it gets more valuable. You could call this the Veblen effect. But when pension funds come in, the price will go up, which will send a message to other pension funds. I'm not sure if this is a Veblen signal or something else, but we need to come up with some new words for this. But as Bitcoin's value rises, more and more people will look at this. Then there's this kind of ceiling where we cross the gold market cap, which tells everyone that this is the new gold. I've named that the Veblen threshold, but it's really just a point where you no longer want gold. You need gold, and this is gold. That puts us on the same level as the need for gold among nations, since their treasuries are still stockpiling gold. Many countries like China are moving quickly to get gold and buy a lot of it. They need to now look at Bitcoin. Hong Kong is really the best place to tell what's going on in China. That's why you're seeing 3 or 4 spot ETFs being made and soon to be sold. In essence, that means letting money from mainland China access Bitcoin and real institutional products. This really shows that Bitcoin is changing the game and is now the world's most important currency. When it does happen is the question. What I think will happen is that it will go off very quickly. It's not going to be this slow, steady, planned climb up. It will happen as a step function, which means that we will quickly go up to 100, then you quickly go from 100 to 500 and so on. These are interesting times, and as you said, we do. Starting January 3rd, we'll be meeting with heads of state and government from all over the world. We do get a chance to peel the oranges. I believe it will take some time. A lot of the time, people think it will go by very quickly. You'll have another El Salvador in an instant. They'll make a Bitcoin law, and that's it. But I believe El Salvador is a bit different since the president used Bitcoin before he became president. So you have a huge advantage when it comes to understanding and knowing about Bitcoin. When dealing with some other heads of state, on the other hand, you have to start from scratch, or even worse, they have the wrong idea about Bitcoin in some way. I would say it's a lot of work and a lot of school. In general, though, I think it's safe to say that governments are very eager to find a way to incorporate Bitcoin strategy into their country and economy. We help them learn more about Bitcoin so that they can do that faster. One of the best things about Bitcoin is that it can turn energy into money. Many countries in the global south or that are still developing still have a lot of energy, but they could be stuck. When it comes to Indonesia, they have a huge amount of geothermal potential. They might be the second tallest in the world. They have a huge amount of hydropower and other clean energy sources as well. They can't really do anything with that, though, since it can't be shipped to the US or Canada in a barrel. You have to take it in. But since Bitcoin came along, you can now buy it, exchange it for Bitcoin, and sell the Bitcoin. I tell them you don't have to keep Bitcoin if you don't want to. It would be stupid not to, but you could just mine Bitcoin, sell it all, and use the money to build hospitals, roads, airports, bridges, and other things. And I think that makes them think about how Bitcoin could really change their economy. And I believe that more and more politicians are beginning to understand that, especially since Bitcoin is getting more and more popular. This was something that RFK talked about in Miami. He gave a great speech and seems to really understand it. But around the world, more and more politicians are starting to talk about Bitcoin as part of their platforms. The idea of money is easier to grasp right away than the idea of hard money. You have to go a little further down the rabbit hole and learn more about the basics of money before you can appreciate hard money. Leaving money on the table because you're not going to take it is a much easier concept to understand, and it helps to align incentives much more quickly than going through the understanding process. I believe one will lead to the other. Like the joke that goes, we came in for the gains and we stayed for the sound money and the hope. But if you make them mine Bitcoin just to get Bitcoin, sell it and do other things with it, they'll learn about Bitcoin's other features over time. But I just think it's a much easier way to get them started than taking them through. We will go there anyway, though. You need to put your pitch first. You usually only have 30 minutes or an hour to do as much orange pilling as possible in that time, but you have to make sure you do it at a pace that people can understand. We don't even talk about the technology, really. Most of the time, we only talk about money. We don't talk about the blockchain, transactions, twos, or anything like that. There are a lot of things going on, but we keep it simple and focused on the reasons they should use Bitcoin.